1 minute, 1 minute. Five, four, three, two.
Good evening. I'll call the City Council a work session to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Felder, Hayter, Stilgrave, Vining, Germaini, Lamore, Mayor Clark.
Present. So we have one item, I think, for our work session this evening is a presentation. Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to ask Assistant City Manager, Finance Director Ed Sells to introduce our esteemed colleagues from Plant Moran who conducted this year's audit.
Thank you. Ed.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Tonight we have with us Ramzi Abdallah and Alyssa Fleury from Plant Moran. They're here to present the results of our audit, the audited financial statements for June 30th, 2024. I did put in each of your trays in the office a full copy of it's called an ACFR, is the acronym, Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. So that's up there along with a hard copy of the auditor's communications. So if you haven't got those are there for you too. But they're here to hit the highlights and answer any questions you might have.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here before you tonight. My name is Ramzi Abdallah. I'm a principal with Plant Moran, and with me is Alyssa Fleury, and together we had the privilege of overseeing the audit of the City of Monroe for the year ended June 30, 2024. Included in your council packet tonight, as Ed mentioned, there are several deliverables that we're going to cover at a very high level. Before we get into that, I did want to take a moment to thank Edsel and his staff really for the entire audit process, which started back in late August, included 3 weeks of on-site field work and included several months of follow-up emails, meetings. The ultimate culmination of that is the expression of an audit opinion and the audit results that we're going to cover. But really, their cooperation made it all possible, and they were doing that on top of their regular everyday job. So we appreciate that. So the really big book that I'd mentioned is the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. This is the city's financial statement. The only page in there that is Plant Moran's document is on page 1, and that is the opinion. We have issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance that we can give on a set of financial statements, and it essentially means that, in our opinion, the financial statements are free of material misstatement and the numbers can be relied upon. Most importantly with that is we did not actually identify any adjustments. We didn't have to propose any material adjustments that were required to be posted for them to be accurate. So the numbers are as we received them, and they are accurate and complete in our opinion. Do also want to mention that the city does continue to prepare an annual comprehensive financial report, which goes above and beyond the minimum requirements for a financial statement. So there are extra schedules and reports that are included in this document that the city is not required to prepare, but the city does prepare. And in doing so, the city has received, once again this year, the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. So really, all good stuff there on the really big document. The next report, the city was required to obtain a single audit this year, which is a federal awards compliance audit. So any entity that expends more than $750,000 of federal funds is required to obtain this audit to ensure that they're spending the money appropriately and that the dollars are going to the right place. So I'm happy to report that for this single audit, we did not know any discrepancies, we did not have any non-compliances or any question costs that we are required to report there. So once again, all good results on the federal single audit as well. There is a third letter that I'm going to cover after Alyssa goes through a graphs presentation to highlight some of the activity in the general fund. So I will hand it off to Alyssa.
Thank you, Ramsey.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm going to be going over the slide presentation, which is the smaller bound document that you should have in front of you.
Michelle, will the presentation be?
I was stuck on a mountain in a snowstorm, so I didn't see anything come through my email, so I'm looking, however, I can't connect to the internet. So Ed, do you have it? Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
It's not a good excuse, but it's the only excuse I have.
Sure.
We have the paper copies as backup.
It should be fine.
Thank you.
I'm looking, but I don't have any internet.
Where is the cable?
It was there. I'm pulling up my email, Ed, so if you emailed it to me, I should be able to get it.
I did. It should be in there. I haven't done this before, so. That's a good noise. So it's on here if you want to just make it go. There it
It
goes.
should be there.
Perfect.
There you go.
Great, thanks, Ed. Perfect, so the slides on the screen or the packets in front of you is what I will be covering. So this first slide presents the general fund revenue on a budgetary basis for the past 3 years. So these are the amounts that were grouped on the RSI budget to actual statement at the end of the financial statements. So just covering a couple things here. Revenue was pretty consistent from last year. Overall revenue is only up about 1% with an increase of $154,000. There was steady property tax collections, increased income related primarily to higher interest rates earned on deposits, and then a small decrease in grant revenue. Property tax revenue, which is that large red bar in the chart, continues to be the primary source of the general fund, comprising approximately 65% of the total revenue. In this fund, the second biggest revenue source is state and federal sources at 20%, which includes about $2.7 million in state shared revenue and $1.6 million in LCSA reimbursements. It's important to remember that these numbers can't really be estimated and can't rely on these numbers necessarily increasing or staying consistent over the year. One other thing to note, the city has about $744,000 in unspent grant funds that are in a separate fund. So this represents the unspent ARPA proceeds. These are in a separate fund, like I said, from the general fund. During 2024, the city spent about $4.2 million of the total $11.2 million in ARPA funds on police and fire wages and various capital improvement projects. On the next slide, this slide takes a closer look at property taxes and shows the trend of total taxable value from 2009 to 2024 and then projects out the next 4 years. So while market values have increased, with the limitations of Headley and Proposal A, the city's taxable value is limited to the lesser of inflation or 5%. So therefore, increases in market values will not necessarily translate to similar increases in taxable value. On the next slide, this will look similar to the first slide, but these are the general fund actual expenditures presented from the past 3 years. So total expenses for the city increased from last year about 2% or $463,000. Some significant fluctuations here. So the first thing you'll see is that public safety expenses increased about $5 million. This is because the city used ARPA funds last year to pay a large portion of police and fire wages, but only about $460,000 in the current year. The general fund also reduced its transfers to other funds, so $3 million were transferred to capital projects fund in 2024 versus $5 million in 2023. The next slide is still staying with expenditures, just presenting these a slightly different way. So it's grouping these by function. So as you can see in this graph, about 46% of the city's general fund expenditures went to public safety. This is an increase from 22% in 2023. This again relates to the ARPA expenditures, as 4.8 million of public safety expenditures occurred last year, and only that 461,000 in the current year. It's also important to note here that the component of expense related to retiree healthcare appears in the debt service category. And on the next slide, this is a similar chart, but it's adjusted those debt service expenditures to allocate the OPEB debt service by function. So as you can see in this graph, when factoring in those OPEB bonds, about 51% of the city's general fund expenditures went to public safety, 11% towards general government, and about 15% to public works. Moving on to the next slide. So this slide shows revenue and expenditure trends on a budgetary basis over the last 4 years. The key takeaway from this slide is that as the city's primary revenue sources, property tax and state share revenue, have slowly increased, the city has carefully navigated the expenditures to address funding needs, for example, retiree healthcare, while still keeping total expenditures in check with the revenue. On the next slide, this takes a look at the city's fund balance for the general fund. And presents for the last 2 years. So on the far left, you'll see non-spendable, which relates to things like real estate inventory. Moving to the right is committed fund balance, which represents the cemetery's fund balance. Next is assigned fund balance, which represents amounts that have been set aside by the city for next year's budget. And last, on the far right, is the city's unassigned fund balance, which is the amounts that are available for spending, which decreased only slightly from last year, about 40,000. The next slide is another analysis of fund balance presented a slightly different way. So this slide presents the total fund balance compared to annual expenditures, along with unassigned fund balance compared to annual expenditures. So total fund balance is about 7.9 million at year end. Of this amount, however, only 4.1 million is unassigned, which again is the part that's available for everyday spending. And then on the far right, that reddish orange bar is 2025 budgeted expenditures at about 22 million. So unassigned fund balance coming in at 4.1 million is approximately 18% of those 2025 budgeted expenditures. The city's policy is to keep that number at or above 15% to be considered financially healthy. So with 15% being the minimum, the city is above that minimum. On the last slide, just some key takeaways from the financials to share with you. So the city does have adequate unassigned fund balance that meets that minimum percentage. With potential future DTE taxable value reductions, it's important to be cautious with property tax numbers and continue to plan for the future. The pension plan is 79% funded this year. The city actually paid over 1.9 million in pension contributions, which is about 194,000 over that required amount. On the OPEB plan, this is 163% funded, which is the result of significant investment returns and changing the plan to a Medicare Advantage plan in 2022. The city has effective budgeting, and we note that the water and sewer rates are in line with the costs of operating the system and accounting for capital reserves. Lastly, the city has an aggressive capital funding program, which includes taking advantage of grants and awards. In total, the city added about 13.8 million in capital assets for governmental activities, which includes things like roads, and 12 million for business type, which includes things like water and wastewater system improvements. So those are just some highlights of the numbers. I'm going to pass it back to Rumsey, but happy to take any questions as well, either now or at the end.
Thank you. So the final deliverable that we wanted to cover is the 8-page letter included in your packet, which is the report to the mayor and city council. This is sometimes referred to as the AU 260 letter or the management letter. This letter includes 2 sections. The first section is very boilerplate, and it includes all of the required categories that the auditing standards require us to speak on. So if we did have any significant issues that were identified during the audit, if we had uncorrected misstatements in the financials that we needed to inform you about, if there were any other significant issues, this is where they would be disclosed to you. I'm happy to report that we do not have any such issues to report. So if you read through that section, you'll see that essentially for each category, it says, we do not have any of these items, none, none. There is one item in there that we call a past adjustment or an uncorrected misstatement that was not deemed to be significant or material. And there's actually 2 items in that category. And these are items that are in this letter every year. Essentially, they relate to 2 things. The first thing, the city has a building authority fund that is presented as an enterprise fund. Technically, the accounting rules would make you present that, or our interpretation of the accounting rules is that it should be presented as a governmental fund. So a slight difference of opinion there. And then also the city has tracks the the MDOT road project contributions in gross, meaning there's a revenue and a matching expense recorded for approximately $214,000. The accounting rules would technically want you to net those, so you report them in zero, but the city has historically reported them that way to help better track that activity. So once again, those are not material items. We are required to inform you of them, and they are mentioned in the letter, but they're not considered material, which is why we're able to pass on them. The second section of this letter includes informational and legislative items that are not necessarily unique to the city, but really are almost at the statewide level and are included for your informational purposes in there. I won't cover any of them in specific. There's nothing significantly urgent or pressing in there, but do invite you to read through them. And if there's anything in there that you would like us to follow up on, we'd be happy to do so. So that concludes the results of the audit. Happy to take any questions. And once again, thank you for the time, and thank you to Ed and his team for all the cooperation during the audit.
Thank you, Ramsey. Alyssa, thank you again for the presentations here. I'll see if there's any questions from council members regarding the report received on the audit presentation. And I'll see if there's anything from city manager, anything follow-up. Manager Robinson, did you have any comments?
I have no follow-up on this report.
Okay. And I won't forget Mr. Sell, because he's from the beginning to the end of this, and I know he worked closely with Plant Moran and the staff. Ed, anything that you'd like to add, or pretty concise?
No, I think they covered it all. That's good.
If there's no other questions from council, I will, obviously, we have the information. Things come up later as you review this. Please let a hold of the city manager, and they can get a hold of Plant Moran, so to see if there's items. But thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have your staff that's here in the building and got this done quickly. And it's always great to see you just before the holidays.
Thank you.
All right. If there's nothing further, safe travels.
Thank you.
Manager Robinson, I know that we have a special meeting following this work session. Is there any items you have that you want to share at this time before that or before the council meeting?
I have no items on the agenda for tonight that, unless council feels there's any agenda items that they would like to discuss
Sure.
before our special meeting.
Yeah, before we go to the special meeting, because we come off from that, we'll be going then adjourning that and then wait for the time frame for our regular council meeting. Does council have any comments for the administration on the upcoming, not the special meeting, I guess, but the scheduled council meeting at 7:30? Nope. Don't see any. Obviously, when we come back, there may be the opportunity as well. So if there's nothing further, I think we'll adjourn this meeting. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you again for being here, as always.
About that, Ed. The last time I looked was at 3, and then I just tried to pull it up, and my password is expired, and
I figured you might not see it. I was prepared just in
didn't.
case.
Good.
I meant to ask you before the meeting, but you were involved in conversation.
council stuff. Well, that's okay. It worked out. But I was like, of course, all nights that it wants me to reset my password right now.
For email? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Where were you at, by the way, that you got snowed in?
So Grace graduated from American University in D.C. But her
Really?
graduation was Sunday at 1:30.
Okay.
So we started coming back about 3:30, and we got to Maryland, and it was
Really?
there was probably an inch of snow already on the ground, and it was snow and it was ice. And apparently there was a winter storm that wasn't supposed to.
Wow.
So we spent the night. Slick.
Yeah.
So it's been
How it would
80
get that way.
degrees every time we've been there. But who has a graduation at 1:30 on a Sunday?
Yeah, that is different.
It's very late. It was very late. So
Huh. Trying to come home last night, or Sunday night, I should say.
yeah, it's last night to get home for everything. To get home to prove stuff and all that. But sometimes there are other plans that are.
The road's cleared today?
Yeah, except it was fog.
Oh, really?
Until and that's what I was telling the mayor. And then at some point we went through a mountain tunnel in Pennsylvania, and we came out the other side. I was like, oh my god, the fog was completely gone, and there was sun.
That's funny.
It was weird. It was really weird. But it rained pretty much. We had a clear spot in Pennsylvania, and then it rained pretty much all in Ohio and everything. So it was
Here
just.
a lot today.
Well, I heard it was foggy a good portion of the day.
I just went for a walk before the meeting. There's fog rolling across the river down there, so yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be out there.
Just one of those. Well, good. I'm glad you had it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, was it underneath? Okay, good. And I took the remote control back so that it wasn't laying out there.
Good morning.
mean, it was. Nice, it was quick, actually. They did, but they split the graduating. And then they did one at 1:30. So it wasn't, so the doctorates, the masters and all of that, were all got to go across the stage, which is awesome. But it was only, and her schools, I think, had less in the mornings. They had the law school in the morning and everything. But it was nice. It's it's always good to celebrate that. Right. Right. Well, I mean, it's a law school graduation, right? It's a smaller school anyway, though. Yeah, it was nice. It was fun to see the doctorate candidates. They don't have a lot of. They've been working on it for a long time, so there was a lot of hooting and hollering. Yeah. Had to when I graduated from the university. It may have also been, it may have been another thing where they graduated us from our teachers. That's what Miami used to do. Right, yeah.
1 minute, 1 minute.
College of Engineering.
Good job. Good job. Now move along.
But I mean, Maggie wasn't even going to go. Yeah. I'll guess I reserve those seats then. I guess maybe.
So their speaker was Sean Aston, Patty Duke Aston's son. He Goonies. He was Stranger Things. Got a master's. But anyway, from the school, so he had to give the speech in the morning, and we forgot it was afternoon. He was like, "Good morning," and we said, "I'm in afternoon."
But that's what the thing says. So
Right.
5, 4, 3, 2.
I'll call the city council special meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Felder.
Present.
Hader.
Here.
Steelgrave.
Here.
Vining. Here. Jermaine.
Yeah.
Lamore.
Present.
Mayor Clark.
Present. We have a special meeting here. Before we get to the consideration for the special meeting item, is public comment. Are there any comments from those present here this evening? Any public comments? Seeing none. Clerk, next item.
The next item is to consider going into closed session.
I'll look to Manager Robinson for the closed session before we take the motion, and if Mr. Buds has anything.
To consideration enter into a closed executive session for the purpose of property acquisition and the city manager end-of-year performance evaluation.
Okay. I guess we'll need a motion to start.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to enter into a closed executive session for the purpose of property acquisition and the city manager end-of-year performance evaluation.
There's a motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Germaine, to go into closed executive session for property acquisition and city manager end-of-year performance evaluation. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Felder. Yes. Hader. Yes. Steelgrave. Yes. Vining. Yes. Jermaine. Yes. Lamore.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Ed, are you telling him we can hear him? Can you tell Millward we can hear him talking? Okay, okay, that's fine.
Special meeting before the regular meeting,
You're,
so we're going into closed session.
have fun. We'll see.
ain't got nothing else to do.
Public meetings are.
You know, I know how it goes. I'm married too. I'm like, she's. There for 34 and together for. A few times. Yeah. I went to that, I heard, yeah. You had a conversation with. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's right, he told me that. What'd you do at Lazy Boy? I mean, no, I'm pretty good at skimming those in terms of what's Patrick speak and what is stuff like that I would know and be aware of, so.
The main things we're gonna need to talk about tomorrow is the sidewalks through my favorite, and then the drive.
Hi. We have to go back into open session. We have to vote. I know.
Council members, we need to go back into session. One, two, three, four. I know where the other two aren't here. Good enough. Okay,
No.
no, we have a
Motion to go back into open session.
motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilman Vining to go back into open session for the special meeting. And are there any other comments from council? If not, need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Vining to adjourn the special meeting.
Then should I be, since all council members aren't present, should I count everyone as a vote yes on these motions, or?
We could wait till they walk in, but we wanted to get moving here.
No, and that's fine. I just want to know what should I do for the minutes?
I think you could note that they had stepped out from, I mean,
Okay.
I think there are only the 5 voting members that are here present, so I think the minutes should reflect that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All, we're all in favor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and we so noted by the clerk on the call. Right, at that point, we're adjourned. Thank you.
How is everything? I'm tired. Yeah. Oh. But it was good. Good. It's always good when somebody achieves, right? Absolutely. It's the best. Yeah. It's just all been very interesting. Right. This evening. How are you? Are you good? Are you all good? They must have hit here. And they did their job. They did a great job. They did their job. They did a great job. Good. I'm glad to see you. I was worried. Dave. Dave. Really five? There were really five total.
Right, fine.
Okay, I thought you said four. There were five total. Two of them aren't qualified, but hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm all right.
Good. That's
1 minute, 1 minute.
The other two were the work session and special meeting. That's council agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Five, four, three, two.
Call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Elder. Hader.
Here.
Stilgrave. Vining. Jermaine.
Here.
Lamore. Mayor Clark.
I would ask you all please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we come together this evening, help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our community.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, please.
The next item The approval of the regular agenda.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, any amendments or adjustments?
Your Honor and Counsel, the administration has no adjustments to the agenda.
Thank you. Any questions from council? If not, a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilman Stillgrave to approve the regular agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stillgrave? Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore? Mayor Clark?
Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments to vendors, the amount should read $1,006,674.63, 1006674.63.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, are there any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? If there is an item you wish to discuss, now would be the time to pull one of the 3-4 items. If not, they will be passed in a one consent resolution motion. Any comments any items from those present? Seeing none? Motions, Councilman Felder.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, and recommendations carried out.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Lamore, that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, and recommendations carried out. Clerk, please call the roll.
Felder? Hayter? Stillgrave? Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore? Mayor Clark?
Clerk, next item.
The next item is council action. Item 5001, bid award 2025 water main replacement, map 5.
Thank you. Manager Robinson.
As we have done with the other maps involved in this water main replacement project, I don't want to take away Director Lewis's exciting news about coming under the estimate, so I'll let him explain to council.
Sir Lewis.
Lewis, Director of Engineering and Public Services. I promise this is the last time I'll be in front of you with one of these large water main contracts. We'll have some smaller stuff, but I am again coming with a Christmas gift of good news, and that is we are again under budget significantly on the last grouping. We didn't do quite as well percentage-wise this time. This is the area that basically includes the entirety of the South Monroe Townsite neighborhood. Our estimate was we actually bumped the estimates down as these bids come in because we're seeing the prices came in on the earlier divisions, and so we keep lowering the estimate, and they still keep beating it. So the estimated cost on this one was about $5.48 million, I believe, and the bids came in at $4.72. So we're saving about $750,000 on this package. We are between $3 and $4 million to the good on the bond issue, what we were expecting to do when we set out to start this process over a year ago. So this award is again to Salem Bean Trucking and Excavating. They got the first 3 of the 4 big groupings, and they decided they wanted to just spend their entire 2025 in the city of Monroe and surrounding areas. And so they're one of our best contractors. We're happy to have them. They are going to keep us hopping, though. So my department's already planning to have 1 full-time person out there, 2 retirees, and probably will be coming to you in the winter with some request for an additional contract inspector as well, because as you know, I only have 3 individuals that work in our engineering department that need to cover all of our projects. So I can't really afford to have more than 1 out on this one, but we'll keep it adequately covered. We're looking forward to it. They are starting on Strasburg Road, which is the first package you awarded this year, starting on week of January 6th with 3 crews. And so we're going to be chasing them from the first of the year, probably into September, October. So provided that this award is approved, they'll probably start working in all of their groupings kind of once they get to the spring, spread 1 out per each of the map areas that they're working in. So we'll keep it rolling, and it's always great news to see the infrastructure coming in under budget. So that's, and as I've mentioned before, Salem Bean meets all of our responsible bidder ordinance requirements. They have 2 subcontractors. They'll use one of 2 directional boring companies. Both of them have already pre-qualified. Paving is usually not defined because it's partially who has availability that time of year. They historically have used Gherkin, and Gherkin is pre-qualified, so we believe they will probably use Gherkin again. But obviously that's a condition of the award that they must have someone that's either presently pre-qualified or become pre-qualified before they use them. So I think I'll leave it there. For now, like I said, this is the last of the big groupings. We do have a few smaller individual projects that we'll probably add on later in the spring as a change order, provided our capital improvements program projects are approved. But we don't have very much within the city this year. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Any,
I'd just like to make a motion, Your Honor. I move that the contract for the water main replacement, 2025 improvements, map 5, project be awarded to Salem Trucking and Excavating, Inc. in the amount of $4,724,944, and that a total of $5,435,000 be encumbered to include a 15% contingency, and that the mayor and clerk treasurer be authorized to execute the contracts on behalf of the city, and that the director of finance, assistant city manager be authorized to make any necessary transfers, including advancing funding from the water fund reserves until bond proceeds are available.
Support.
motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 5001, the bid award for the 2025 water main replacement, map 5. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Felder? Yes. Hayter? Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item is item 5039, authorization to enter into an agreement with Axon for virtual reality training equipment and software.
Thank you. Manager Robinson?
Your Honor and Council, and as you're aware that we have really worked hard with Axon over this last year, updating much of the public safety equipment when it came to their body cameras, their tasers, all of these items, and now they have a new opportunity at a virtual reality training tool that I'll let them explain in detail how it works, but I think it's really something that allows, as you know, staffing is always an issue with police departments, and being able to get officers realistic, state-of-the-art training is very, very important, and I think this tool is going to prove to be very, very good for our public safety department. Director Tolson.
Thank you. Director?
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Clerk Lavoie, Chad Tolte, Director of Public Safety. As our city manager gave a soft introduction to what I'm seeking authorization to sign for tonight is earlier this year, the state of Michigan passed down continuing professional education credits required for all law enforcement. With that is meaning we had to hit certain standards for our training requirements and have to provide proof to the state that we are hitting these standards. So as a department, Lieutenant Marks is here with me in charge of training. As a department, we began to look around, say, how can we best utilize? And we're also provided funds from the state. We were provided $17,500 from the state earlier this year to help with these initiatives to make sure we're hitting these CPE credit hours. So as we started looking around, Lieutenant Marks brings me the idea of like, hey, how about this Axon virtual reality equipment? I don't know how many council members or mayor, if you've done any virtual reality. That was my first experience with it. But what that provides for you is you get to put on a headset. You don't have to go anywhere, and you get to do a lot of repetitions over, let's say, shoot, don't shoot scenarios. Scenarios where you use the tasers or don't use the tasers. This company goes as far as to say it's also work with some de-escalation type of environments where they're interactive. It's not always the same things over and over again. And what this provides for us as a department is the ability not to have to send officers out to training. So we don't have to send them to a different location. There's no overnight stays. There'll be less overtime associated with this. And this doesn't replace hands-on training, but what it does is supplement and support the training in which we'll be able to receive. Lieutenant Marks can provide you a little bit more specifics on it, but this also is, so when we looked at this, so the 17.5 you saw in the agreement that we put down, we would put down that money towards the agreement, which is a 5-year agreement, which would help us meet the requirements over a year. And we looked at hey, what scenarios do you have? Will it fit the CPEs we're required in the state of Michigan? And the response was, it was. It will hit those things. So this will help us meet those CPE credits as well. I'll have Lieutenant Marks step up here now and just provide you a little bit more insight. He's more technologically savvy than what I am. I asked him numerous times, I'm like, you sure this is something we want to move forward on? And he was assured that he was, as well as our other training officers as well. Lieutenant Marks?
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Clerk LaVoy. Paul Marks, Tax Lieutenant with the City of Monroe Public Safety. First off, thanks for the opportunity to speak with you again today. As the director spoke about, really think this is going to be a really valuable opportunity for us. This uses virtual reality in coordination with some of the technology that you've already authorized for us, such as the tasers. One of the things that it allows is just more frequent training. For instance, we just had some training this past month, and that was with tasers. And it's a task to get the whole department through training. We have several training instructors there. It's a really big deal. This is something that we can do on a more regular basis to get officers, the director said, those repetitions. Doesn't require numerous instructors to provide this training. Instead, it just leverages the technology that's available so the officers can get this. One of the things that probably is most valuable and most attractive to us is the ability for the officers to have to make decisions while they're going through these scenarios. It's not a definitive outcome what's going to happen, and the officers have to use critical thinking, and they have to use their training and understand policies to make their decisions what they're going to do in these scenarios. And then afterwards, the instructor provides them feedback. So it's instantaneous, and I think they're going to learn a lot from this in general. One of the things that Axon in general, if you don't know, when they started years and years ago, the founder, his goal, or he calls his moonshot goal, is to eliminate shooting deaths between the police and public. That may never happen, but it's certainly been reduced by that technology. Their current goal that's a little more attainable and more immediate is reducing police and public deaths by 50%, shooting deaths in the next 10 years by 50%. 2023, there was 1,193 civilians and 43 police officers killed in shooting deaths and interacting between police and public. And this is a way that we can provide the officers the ability to use their knowledge, use their training, learn critical thinking. So hopefully we can avoid those kind of encounters. Just since the tasers have been deployed, the officers have been able to de-escalate situations. We haven't had a deployment where they had to use the actual weapon, but just the warning alert system that's built into these was able to provide a more positive outcome without an escalated use of force. So I think this is going to be very valuable. Is there any questions that anyone has?
Any questions for Lieutenant Marks? Councilwoman Germaini?
So how many scenarios are in the virtual reality field glasses?
I don't have the answer for the exact amount that's now, but Axon, part of the cost in this is Axon is always updating and increasing those scenarios, and that'll go throughout the next 5 years that we would commit to them.
So you see the scenario through the glasses and then you react and then you get evaluated on the reaction?
So the scenario, I mean, you're absolutely in the scenario. You can't see anything. You feel like you're part of, to simplify, a movie. Mm-hmm. And whatever choice you make, for instance, if I was in a scenario and I chose to deploy a taser, it would not only register that, but it would register where the taser struck the person so that could even be evaluated, because there's certain areas that we always try and not target. I mean, it breaks it down to very small details that we're able to analyze and work with the officers on.
And where do we do the training?
Anywhere. We could move this
You
podium
do
and
it
do it
here?
right here. If you want to try it.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? Councilwoman Viney?
So you said this was a 5-year, this cost, it'll cover 5 years worth of training and what comes along with it, this contract?
I will let the director speak to that. I believe
Yes, ma'am. It's a 5-year contract, but we own the equipment. So we keep the equipment. What happens at the end of 5, we don't renew. We stop getting new scenarios. We don't get the refresh as well. It will, in 2027, we get a refresh. Similar with our Axon body-worn cameras, they'll send us new equipment in 2027. That's all part of the agreement as well.
Other comments? One thing about this, I was thinking, because there's law changes that come sometimes annually, sometimes every 5 years, and I think about those opportunities as new scenarios have to be amended according to new laws, and I think that's why you want to have longer term than 1 year, because it could change, and then the response could change from a felony to a misdemeanor or interaction. So I think that's a good thing. Councilwoman Stilgrave.
I'd just like to make the motion. Move to authorize the Public Safety Department to enter into an agreement with Axon to purchase Action virtual reality training equipment and software in the amount of $56,832.40.
Motion by Councilwoman Stilgrave, supported by Councilman Moore. On item 5039, authorization to enter into agreement with Axon for virtual reality training equipment and software. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Yes. Stilgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Yes. Germaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 5029, award of opioid settlement agreement funding grants.
Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor and Council, as you are aware, we have been the recipient of some opioid settlement funding over the last 2 years. We reached out and we put out there for some of the groups in the surrounding area that are dealing with substance abuse and address opioid issues to submit project proposals. And we received 5. And I'll let Director Cochran give the good news on the winners, the recommended winners.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. Mark Cochran, Assistant City Manager and Director of Economic and Community Development. For public awareness, so as the City Manager indicated, there has been national settlements with pharmaceutical distributors, including Purdue Pharma, CVS, Walmart, McKesson, and others that have totaled for the state of Michigan to receive about $1.2 billion out of those settlements. The amount and the duration out of each of those and how long those funds are going to be distributed varies, but 50% of those funds are dispersed to county and local governments. And so the city is slated to receive about $40,000 a year from the settlements that have been approved so far. There are additional ones coming, but that $40,000 through about 2039. And so far we've received about $246,000 and have $256,000 available for distribution and utilization here at the city, with about $40,000 coming annually. So given the amount that we had, what we did is in September, we issued a request for proposals to various community organizations who are doing work in the substance abuse space and invited them to submit proposals for funding that the city could then grant out funds for their program. We did receive 5 proposals from Families Against Narcotics out of Metro Detroit area, Monroe Public Schools and Monroe High School, Recovery Advocacy Warriors, Monroe County Opportunity Program, and Selah Center for Hope. And the 5 programs did focus on the utilization guidelines for us that come with the settlement agreements, and that's to work in the spaces of treatment, recovery, and prevention, dealing with the opioid epidemic and the overdose epidemic. Selah Center for Hope, their proposal is to provide Medicaid-assisted therapy to mothers who are seeking housing. Recovery Advocacy Warriors works in the recovery space, providing peer support therapists to folks who are seeking treatment and help them get into treatment and keep them engaged as they're seeking availability. And then Monroe County Opportunity Program hosts the Community Center Mentoring Program at the Arthur Leslow Community Center, the Opportunity Center. And Monroe High School also, their program is to support staff who are assisting students who are dealing with substance abuse, whether that's vaping or other other substance abuse. And so all the proposals were in your packet this evening. We did have a committee of city administration who reviewed and scored all the proposals based on the 5 criteria that are on the worksheet or fact sheet, including the scope of work, program sustainability. The project is evidence-based. There is a direct benefit to City of Monroe residents, and outcomes and success measurements. And we are recommending that City Council award funds to 4 of those programs: Selah Center for Hope, Recovery Advocacy Warriors, MCOP, and Monroe High School. There was concern with the proposal that was submitted by Families Against Narcotics because most of their proposals we felt were a duplication of services that were already being provided in the community. And the proposal didn't show much collaboration in the space with other community organizations already doing work in the city and in the county. And so we're recommending City Council approve the grants in the total of $84,900. These are for a period of 1 year. And so every year they can reapply, given the fact we're getting funds every year through the settlements. And then the agencies are required to execute a grant agreement, which we're working on right now. They will provide quarterly reporting and a closeout report at the end of the year to report on the outcomes and the success of their programs. And we can share that with City Council as well.
Questions for Mr. Cochran? Mark, I noticed the amount that's being requested here this evening, and looking at the receive approximate amount through future years. Is this a multiple year allocation? Because I know we had to get a lot in order before we could start using the funds or deploying them.
So we have about $256,000 available now. We're recommending $84,900 be awarded this evening. That will start January 1st and December 31st, but next fall we will open for proposals again. Also, given the fact that the amount of money that we have available exceeds the amount of proposals we did receive, we are going to issue a second RFP. If there are other organizations who are doing work in this space and in the community before the end of the year, early first quarter of next year, they can also submit for utilization of funds. But the caution is for all the organizations to know we don't have $256,000 available every year. That's just current funding. And so sustainability is a key component that we looked at with all the programs.
Thank you. I appreciate consideration of the committee when you look at tying to resources that are here and delivery service locally. Any, Councilman Moore?
I have no questions, just a motion.
Any other questions? If not?
Your Honor, just make a motion to award grants from the city's opioid lawsuit settlement agreements to the Monroe County Opportunity Program, Monroe High School, Selah Center for Hope, and Recovery Advocacy Warriors in the total amount of $84,900, and authorize the administration to develop funding agreements to be executed by the city manager and agency officials.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Steelgrave on item 5029, the award of opioid settlement agreement funding grants. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Steelgrave? Vining? Jermaine? Lamore? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 5036, resolution certifying the results of the 2024 City Manager Annual Performance Evaluation.
I'm looking to City Manager Robinson. I mean, it's your evaluation. Is somebody going to speak, or just is it for us today?
Dr. Everly?
Dr. Everly.
You don't want me to speak on myself because I'll be clapping and everything else. So
We've heard that.
Julie Everly. I'm the Human Resources Director and the Director of Organizational Development for the City of Monroe. So we have been on a journey together this year. You passed a resolution at the beginning of first quarter specifying exactly how you would be evaluating our city manager, who is your sole report. And you diligently have checked in with the city manager and he with you every quarter of this calendar year, and we've arrived at the end of the year. It's really hard to believe. And the resolution you have before you for consideration summarizes that evaluation with a meets expectations rating. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions about the process.
Thank you. Any questions from council for Dr. Everly regarding the process or inquiries or statements? Not? Councilman Hayter?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
To approve the resolution certifying the results of the 2024 City Manager Annual Performance Evaluation.
Motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Germania, on item 5036, resolution certifying the results of the 2024 City Manager Annual Performance Evaluation. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stalgrave? Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
There are no further items this evening.
It's council comments, and as we always start with the month of, this is now month of December. Before we go to council, I'm going to ask that Councilman Lamore join me at the podium, please. Well, he's probably smiling because he was not expecting this. So, you know, as we move forward toward the end of this year, as we have talked about, and we have spoke with Councilman Moore here, and council has warmed him and welcomed him, and as he moves forward here with his election into the role of a county commissioner at the end of the year, but he's still here for the rest of the year because you never know, we might have a special meeting and he'll come back. But with that, it's an opportunity to kind of reflect and recognize, give Brian the chance if he has some things to say. But you know, on behalf of the City Council, we heard many comments at the last meeting. I want to thank you also personally for your years of service, 7 years of your terms, and I know that's been talked about because as we move forward and look for the appointment that comes to the obligation of the council that's seating. But before we get there, you know, it's been a pleasure serving with Brian through these years as a mayor, but also I know with the council. And I think longevity is clearly stated as far as the amount of work that's done. He always has a question. He calls the manager. He calls me. I think he calls council members, and which is it should be. And, you know, having being a business owner in downtown, he also has the opportunity to hear at his counter probably every day, "Hey, Councilman, what about this?" And then, of course, we had one example was an item we had which was significant. We get the ice flows. It was significant and needed quick action. And Councilman, I know, made the calls and got things moving, as well as working with the staff as well. So I think that it's really so much commendable. I could speak about working with Brian. And we worked through so many new policies, initiatives that are in place today. But I'm just going to read a very short comment here, and regarding from the City of Monroe, and then on behalf of the City Council, recognizing Councilman Lamore for his service. So this award, this certificate of appreciation to Councilman Brian Lamore, in grateful recognition of his 7 years of faithful and distinguished service as a City Council member, representing the 5th Precinct and the entire city. On behalf of the residents of Monroe, I'd like to express appreciation for your civic stewardship and contributions to the public welfare that has enriched the city of Monroe. You know, as the 5th Precinct councilman, you know, as we all are, we all come from a precinct, all the council members do, and we bring forward those items from our council. But when it comes time to make our decisions, it's as the city as a whole. But, you know, Brian's represented the 5th Precinct very well, but I think he's also extremely well has represented the needs of the entire city, and I appreciate you for that. And congratulations, Brian.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it very much.
Now you get to talk.
Oh, boy. Well, thank you once again. Yes, you're correct. I was not expecting this. But just beware, I'm kind of like a bad penny. I show up frequently. So I'll be back. I'm not going to be I'll be right across the courtyard, as a matter of fact. So I do plan on being here and representing the city in a county fashion. So hopefully I'll do a great job over there, good enough to get us more funding, more of what the city needs here. So I'm not leaving because of any dismay here. I've absolutely loved being here as a city councilman. I don't look forward to leaving here. This is one of the best things I feel I've ever accomplished in my life, is being a city councilman here in the city of Monroe. I truly love this city more than anything else. My family's been born and raised here. I can't think of a better place to be in the whole United States of America other than the city of Monroe, Michigan. So it's been a true honor for me to represent Precinct 5 and the city of Monroe. And I can't say enough about my thanks for the staff and how helpful they've been throughout my career here. City manager, past due city manager Robinson, just an excellent amount of people to work with. City clerk, treasurer Lavoie, all the council people, Felder, councilperson Germani, councilperson Vining, councilperson Steelgrave, councilperson Hayter, and the past councilperson Michelangeli. You guys have all been wonderful to work with. It's been my pleasure working with you. It's unfortunate that this day has come, but like I said, I will be back and I will show up at the meetings and I will be here to represent the city of Monroe. So thank you once again. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before Brian leaves the podium here, I think about the service on the council, and all the council members have duties and responsibilities to different boards and commissions. Maybe as a voting member, maybe as a, like the pension board with Councilman Felder and others who have voting members, but also as a liaison. So Brian's time as a councilman, he served as a liaison on the Planning Commission, he served on a liaison to the Port Commission, and there's other boards and commissions when it comes time to sit as a small group, as an advisory to develop a policy. Brian has sat on that. One of the ones that was initiated by members here was the redevelopment of the Lazy Boy property, and Brian was on that with the Councilwoman Germani and Stillgrave. So I think that there's so much that goes into serving on the council, but I also want to mention before Brian became a councilman, he served on the Planning Commission and in service to the community. I look across the dais here and I see members that have served in boards and commissions and found their way to become the elected official. There's so much can be learned across the process, not only as a council member, but also in boards and commissions. I have a comment about that later because it is the time of year for that as well. But Brian, I want to say congratulations again and thank you. Good friend.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Now, while they went off script, it is council comments. It is December. Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Brian, you have had the opportunity to sit next to me these past 7 years, and for that, you have my deepest condolences. And now you are moving on to bigger and better things, and for that, you have my sincere congratulations. So it's wonderful to have a commissioner who's from the city again, and have some representation in the city of Monroe back into the county. And I'm sure that you will carry what you have done here and the experiences that you've had to there in fulfilling that role as well. You're never afraid to speak up or ask a question, and that sort of courage is rare in this role. So very much appreciate you. I've appreciated my time with you, and looking forward to what lies ahead. So congratulations again, and thank you for your past years of service. It's been wonderful to be able to serve with you. In addition to that, happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. That's all I have this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hayter.
Thank you, Your Honor. I also would like to congratulate Brian and thank him for his service to the council and the city of Monroe, and wish him the best of luck representing us over at the county commission. I would like to congratulate Director Sell for the successful audit that we were given earlier at our work session. And I want to thank him and his staff for the wonderful work that they do. And I want to congratulate the city manager for his successful evaluation. And It's been great working with you this first year and look forward to many more. And would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Councilwoman Stelgrave.
Everybody's comments. Congratulations, Brian. Looking forward to seeing you sitting up there. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vining.
Congratulations again, Brian. I've been knowing Brian for a long time. Been doing business with him a long time. He's a good man, and I know, again, you're gonna do well. I'm happy. I didn't know you were the only city representation. Now that I think about it, so we really need you over there, and I'm glad to see what you'll do over there. And happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Councilwoman Germaini.
Thank you, Brian. Someone else is going to be taking that seat. But I will see you at family functions, and I'll be visiting you at the commissioners' meetings as well. And thank you for your service. And I'm going to miss you. And happy holidays to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Lamore.
Oh, boy, one last time. Boy, these are the ones that I really hate to announce, but I think we'd be all remiss if we didn't make notice of this, but my condolences to Councilperson Germaini and loss of her sister this past weekend, and also to a good friend of the council here, Michelle Pald, who lost her daughter over the weekend. So I want to make sure that we send out our prayers and condolences to both families and make sure that they know that they have a special place in our heart here. Boy, I was really not expecting to be my last meeting. It just kind of jumped upon me today. So once again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody having trust in me to represent you, my constituents especially. Thank you to the council members once again. Like I said, this has been an absolute pleasure being here. Thank you to all the staff again. You guys have been an absolute asset to the council, to me personally, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I truly do love you guys in the city of Monroe here, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. So I think it's been said and nice of my comments there earlier with Brian, but I know that he's going to be serving the city on the county commission, but his jurisdiction will also include Frenchtown. But in the past, we've not had the member in the two seats that represent the city on the county commission be a member of the city. But I know that just as Brian served the city here in his precinct, he will serve the city here but also the people he's representing that are in Frenchtown, because that's the way he served here as a city whole. So congratulations again, Brian. I look forward to working with you continuously and with our partnership that we have with the county as well. It would only be better. A couple of other items, the hometown holiday lights, and everybody hopefully came down for the tree lighting. If not, there's another, you can come down at any time, come through the holidays, bring your families into the holidays. I see people at night, I see them early in the morning, they're still enjoying the festive atmosphere with the lights. But also one of the items we started this year was the Deck the House, which is people the opportunity to decorate their home and get votes to see who's going to be the Griswold Award winner. But as we kind of jokingly say, there were 19 submissions this year. It's the first year, and I thought that was pretty good, and I expect we'll probably have more. Today was the first day of voting, and there was over 500 votes already. So if you're one of the homeowners or you haven't had the opportunity, it goes through to the end of the month, get active, go out. There's a tour map that is on the city's webpage, and there's also QR codes in front of the homes that you can just drive by, hit the code, and make your submission who you wish to vote for. So the winner will be coming back to the council meeting in January to have a conversation about that and other activities I'll get to when that comes up. As I started, with Brian having served on boards and commissions and also in his time before as a council member, this is the time of year I kind of review. It's the end of the year. We've have many boards and commissions, and as the clerk and I know, we have to have the volunteers from our community, or we can't provide service in a lot of many fashions. But the time of year when boards and commissions most get filled, they come January, end of January, terms expire, as well as new appointments, and June is the other segment of time. In front of me, I have a list of all those that are up for reappointment, but also those that are vacant at this time. And so I usually do those collectively because it gets on the schedule of when the term is. So we've talked about some already that are here, but we have vacancies, for instance, in ethics, which we mentioned the last time, the Commission on the Environment, if you have an interest there. There's going to be commission, other items that may have vacancies as well, because there may not be reappointments or people move on. So those are items. If anybody has an interest in serving on a board and commission, you can simply call. You can look it out on the website, see all the boards and commissions. There's information about each of what that service is, what the terms of service is as well. I know I look around here and today there's people here that are serving currently on a board and commission, if not two. So there's space for all of us to be able to have an input. And I know the manager is going to talk about the process, and the clerk as well, on the vacancy that's to occur on the council. But if you have questions after looking at boards and commissions and all that, you're welcome to call me. You can call through at 734-384-9144 or send me an email. If you have questions about what does this board really do or how often does it meet, all those items are on our website, but I'll be glad to talk to anybody about has an interest to serve on boards and commissions. And again, I'll be working through that till the end of January. So those are my comments for this evening. Clerk Treasurer Lavoie, welcome.
Thank you. Wow. So I heard something at the podium tonight that I wasn't expecting, so that kind of changed some of what I was going to say. I think tonight's a perfect example of what life is all about, right? We have really amazing things happening for those among us sitting here. Some we know about, some we don't know. And then we have some really sad things happening, and we wonder how we move forward. So both are equally important, and both need to be celebrated. So and mourned, but always celebrating the lives that were here and the lives that touched us. So Brian, I am very excited for you. I'm excited for all of us, and I'm excited for the county as a whole. I have no doubt that you're going to do a great job. The 10 years that we've worked together, well, I've been here 10 years, you became a little bit long, but I feel like because of the way we started, that you've really been in my universe for 10 years. And I appreciate what I've learned from you, and I appreciate the hard work and your amazing participation on council. And so again, it's not goodbye, like you said, right? You're not going anywhere, and I wouldn't expect that. And then I want to echo the extension of sympathy to those among us tonight who are really sad. So thank you for the time to speak, and I pray for all of those that need prayers. And Brian, I send you off with all of my best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I go to the manager, commissioners can serve on boards and commissions, by the way, so I'll just throw that out there.
Thank you, Your Honor. Brian, congratulations. I wish you well. I know you won't go far. I know we'll still be in contact, and I appreciate the insight and the way that you've chosen to communicate with me. If there's a question, you don't hesitate, you call, and we figure things out, and I appreciate that, and I imagine you'll be that same way as a commissioner. Just for everybody's update, the 4 o'clock today was the last time that you could file an application for the anticipated vacancy for city council. To date, we've received 5 applications that are currently being reviewed by the city clerk for eligibility. What we will do is the ones who pass through the eligibility, those individuals will be identified at the January 6th city council meeting. And at that meeting, we will be choosing a date for the special meeting where the actual council interviews of the applicants, the public interviews will take place. So that's where we're at with those. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And for some reason, my Director of Public Safety has been saying he wants to address council and use the rest of my time.
Director?
Mayor, City Council members, Clerk Lavoy, Chad Tolted, Director of Public Safety. Also, your backup to the backup photographer for the City of Monroe as well. So those were sent over to Jody as well. Just wanted to touch base on a few things the department's been doing within the community. This past Saturday, we were a part of Barbers, Badges, and Blessings. We collected, Officer Patterson was outside JB's barber shop. JB started this initiative. We filled a patrol car up, took it down to the Opportunity Center, who's been also a great partner with this as well. And then this Friday, we'll be having an event down there as well. You'll see some of our officers down there. There's haircuts going on and some other celebration as well as we provide gifts into the community. Also, we did the bell ringing. $1,300 was raised by the police officers ringing the bell outside Tim Hortons. It was frigid temperatures. Everybody was out there doing their job. This Wednesday, we have Shop with a Cop going on. LET will be providing bus services for us as well. We'll be up at Walmart. That's sponsored by the Monroe Police Charities who receive funds from within the community, which we're grateful for as well. Also, the firefighters are also sponsoring a family here locally as well, which they'll be delivering gifts here this week. The last thing I have to say is we have the fire truck is here. It's almost put together. We'll be doing the push-in this Friday. I think you all received an invitation to come out. So we look forward to seeing you guys all out there. We're going to have a retired firefighter speak to what the push-in is, what's the significance of it, and what the history of it as well. And our own mayor will be making a few comments as well. Appreciated. So thank you very much. And thank you for allowing me to use your time, Mr. Robinson.
Director, the community's welcome to join us on the 20th.
That is correct. It's an open event for the community as well. You'll see something posted on our Facebook page as well.
That'd be great, because I think there's opportunity to not only view the push-in of the truck and opportunities to meet with public safety firefighters, and I'm sure the doors will be open if they wish to kind of take a look around if they've not had the opportunity up to now.
Yes, Mayor.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Yep.
Manager Robinson, any additional comments?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, very well. Next is citizens' comments, and so at this time, if there's any comments from those present, we just ask that you state your name, your jurisdiction of residence, and mindful of the time of 3 minutes. If you have any comments from those present. Yes, sir. No comments today. Well, you have a wonderful Christmas and holiday. Yeah, I know. End of the year, he got me this time. He was going to say, Mr. James. No. Yeah, everybody have great holidays. Hanukkah and Merry Christmas. Enjoy each other. And as I always say, and I have my comments in the newsletter, we think of others that are less fortunate, those that have a need, those that may need just a little bit of support. Let's keep them in our thoughts as well as we go through our community and see how you can help that, whether it's opening a door, helping somebody with their groceries, do whatever it might be. Please, let's all be kind and raise a sharing hand to others as well that are in need. Those are my final comments. With that, Councilman Lord, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
And?
And for the last time, motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Germaini to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Felder?
Yes.
Hader?
Yes.
Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Thank you all for being here and those that are watching.